Sources confirms Chris Gutierrez will fight Sean Lee this weekend at UFC Vegas 95 in the bantamweight bout. Javed Basharat was the initial opponent and Lee was booked for Dana White Contender series. The UFC is expected to wait until the result of Dricus du Plessis vs Israel Adesanya at UFC 305 before they book a fight for Alex Pereira. Fortin says himself he is not cutting to 185 again. That means the trilogy fight of Pereira vs Adesanya will fought at light heavyweight. Paulo Costa vs Jared Cannonier targeted for UFC 309 in Madison Square Garden. Paulo Costa doesn't deserve that though. He won one of his last 5 fights and that too was against an unranked middleweight fighter. Despite this, he is consistently being given a chance against a top 5 fighter. Sandy Royan will defend her WBO welterweight world title vs Mikaela Mayer on September 27th in New York. Alexander Zayas vs Damian Sosa and Bruce Carrington vs Suleiman Segawa also on the card. UFC champion Belal Muhammad is reacting following back injury claims made by the coach of Leon Edwards. Edwards' coach came forward recently saying his fighter had injured his back in the lead up to UFC 304 and that's the reason he was not able to retain the title that Saturday night. UFC play-by-play broadcast John Anik has an intriguing idea for Tony Ferguson if the promotion offers him another fight after UFC Abu Dhabi. UFC CEO Dana White and the matchmakers have not immediately addressed Ferguson's imminent future with the promotion, but if he gets one more shot in the octagon, Anik has an opponent in mind for his return. Tony Ferguson feels his fans will follow him if he competes outside the UFC. Fans are trying to see him retire, it's over, but if he wanna do it again, so will Jake Paul, his next opponent in the boxing ring. Michael Chiesa reveals he would have retired from MMA had he lost to Tony Ferguson at UFC Abu Dhabi. Dustin Poirier would answer if UFC called for an interim title in the wake of Islam Makhachev's injury. In that situation, Dustin vs Justin 3 is the only fight to make for both of the guys. The lightweight champion is still looking for a more interesting opponent than current number 1 contender Arman Tsarukyan. Lightweight champion Islam Makhachev is once again picking on featherweight fighters. Donald Trump says Khabib Nurmagomedov is his favorite fighter of all times. Conor McGregor sounds off on Donald Trump after he claimed that Khabib was his favorite fighter. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler might be going their separate ways after arguing about Khabib being Donald Trump's favorite fighter. December looks like it's the new date for the much anticipated clash between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, with the two going back and forth today on social media. Sean O'Malley has gone from being Conor McGregor's biggest fan to wanting a fight against the Notorious. Here's how his coach sees it going down. Tim Welch talks about Sean O'Malley vs Merab Dvalishvili and says they are preparing for a 5-round war, but if he had to bet, his money would be on Sugar via first round knockout. Tim Welch says he and Sean O'Malley's team won't be punked by little Merab Dvalishvili. Time was a mid-level fighter his whole career, so now he lives off on Sean's success. UFC Hall of Famer Charles Sonnen believes surging middleweight Shara Bullet Magomedov could become one of the sport's biggest stars. In a recent episode of Good Guy and Bad Guy with Daniel Cormier, Sonnen reacted to Magomedov's meteoric ascent. Magomedov's success in the cage is unprecedented. Given some of his physical limitations, he suffered an injury to his right eye in 2016, which required 8 surgeries and resulted in visual blindness. Dana White expects Jon Jones to want to test himself against Tom Aspinall. No one expects Stipe Miocic to hang around after his anticipated Jon Jones clash, and that includes UFC CEO Dana White. Jake Paul continues to call for a boxing match with Alex Pereira. Jake Paul believes a boxing match with UFC champion Alex Pereira could break records. Speaking on the Full Send podcast, the Problem Child also stated his opinion that a fight with the Brazilian could sell upwards of 3 million pay-per-views. A TikTok star has accused UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira of sexually assaulting her at a New Jersey hotel. Meredith Brown, a TikTok user who has accumulated over 54,000 followers on the platform, posted a series of videos earlier this week accusing Pereira of rape. She claims the assault occurred at a hotel after she and a friend were originally invited for a night out with the UFC champ and an unnamed assistant. Shakur Stevenson told Loma to run it before the end of 2024. This proves Shakur doesn't want a tank fight right now. Dude, if it happens, I hope that he actually fights and not run. And that's all, guys. We will see you in the next video in which we will talk about some more news related to MMA. So till then, do whatever you want.